A text line 37937. Doesn't matter if you lose by one or get blown out in relation to Mahomes and his legacy. I don't agree with that. Like, I think Patriots fans are going too far with Mahomes can never be compared to Brady. He's still on track to catch and or pass Brady. He's got to do it. He's a long ways away.
Yeah.
But
for 7 years.
At this point in time, Brady had missed the postseason and hadn't been to as many Super Bowls. They had won the same amount. So, like, to say you're never going to hear from Mahomes again or never bring up Mahomes' name with Brady is too strong. But 2 blowouts in the Super Bowl, that's not nothing. I mean, that's
not nothing.
That's something that you bring up when you reference Mahomes, Brady, and the Patriots and the Chiefs. I mean, the Patriots never got blown out like this.
Well, and the big swing of you had a chance to be the first team to ever 3-chief, and you blow that, and then you end up just getting destroyed in the game. So it's just like a really bad individual performance. This isn't one of those ones where, think about how much credit Brady gets for the Malcolm Butler Super Bowl. People point out, they're like, this guy threw for like 500 yards or whatever, and a loss. So it wasn't his fault, right? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And had they lost that Super Bowl to the Eagles by the same score of last night, would people ever mention it as like in a positive way ever? No, of course not.
No.
Like Malcolm Butler could have played the whole game and he still would have lost by 50 if that's what the game was like.
So, yeah, I get the logic there. Like a loss is a loss, but though that one looked and felt different, that should leave a mark on Mahomes and his legacy. I'm not going to bump him below Manning. I'm not going to bump him below Montana, and I would have those in the other order. I wouldn't change my top 5.
No.
But Mahomes still has a ways to go to catch Brady, which would have happened even if he won, even with a win. I mean, we'd be talking about breathing down his neck, but even with a win, he wouldn't have caught Brady.
You just would have said his first 7 years greater than Brady's first 7 years. It probably still is, but right now it's really close, whereas before it would be a big advantage for him.
Another text here. Mahomes is the Cosmo Kramer of quarterbacks.
Okay, I'll listen to this.
He's fallen ass backwards into success. I'd take 5 or 6 QBs before him in a must-win game. You need to look closer at how his teams have succeeded.
Okay, so I don't agree with this. And if you want to pile on Mahomes today, like that's honestly fine. Go ahead. He doesn't lose a lot in the playoffs. If you want to do it today, you can.
Take a victory lap. It's time to do it.
So how did he Cosmo Kramer himself into these Super Bowls? Was Andy Reid a big Super Bowl winner prior to
Huge.
him? So
he was winning tons of Super McNabb.
He
and
was
Alex
known
Smith.
he was known for a guy that could take a quarter and put him way over the top and get him to win all these Super Bowls. Or did one sort of make the other? So I don't really get that. Plus, when he won 2 Super Bowls without his true number 1 receiver, like that was a big feather in his cap. So, yeah, he lost last night, but like to be like, now everything's up in smoke is a weird take.
Well, that sounds like Scheim. There's taking 5 or 6 quarterbacks before Mahomes.
Yeah, Scheim's not a huge fan of Mahomes.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he doesn't like
That's like a long-standing Scheim thing?
Yeah.
He loves Peyton Manning all of a sudden.
Yeah, I think it's one of these just to put him above Mahomes. Can't imagine he really likes Peyton Manning. It's like me being like Kareem's better than LeBron. It's like, I don't know.
I don't know, but I'm going to lean on it.
That. Like, he's got enough numbers I can kind of lean on that.
Yeah,
of course Kareem's better.
I can cling to something.
I need to find somebody else to kind of knock him down a peg.
But no, I mean, look, Peyton got blown out in a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Montana. Here's something that I'm not sure people fully hold against Montana enough. When you're having a high level quarterback debate like this, meaning not a high level debate, but a debate about the high level quarterbacks, is the Niners won without Montana. Like that should count against Montana somewhere down the line as well. But no, I wouldn't take 5 or 6 quarterbacks over Mahomes. I would still take Brady. Yeah, but I wouldn't take 5 or 6. 617-779-7937. The lesson with the Eagles and their defense. I mean, I don't want to overreact to what we saw last night, but is there something there where you look at it, Vrabel as a defensive coach, does that in any way, shape, or form change how you would approach the offseason, watching what Philly did last night with an overwhelming defensive line that did not give Mahomes a second to breathe?
So I think it's really tough with Philly to sort of be like, what's the number one thing for them? Only because they are loaded across the board. You know, it's similar to like San Francisco, right? When people would be like, would you rather the quarterback or like everything around the quarterback? It's like, well, how many teams are able to get everything around the quarterback? Right. And now in the case of Philly, like they also have the quarterback, I think. So they have a great D-line, but they also have a really good offense. They have really good receivers. They got a good running back. They did a great job in the draft getting a couple of cornerbacks. You know, they did a good job in free agency. Like they did a great job almost everywhere. So yeah, technically their defense is better than their offense, right? If you just sizing them up numbers and even personnel, like their defense played better, you know, compared to everybody else in the league than their offense did. But it's kind of the combination, right? Like, I think it's everything that works, because if they had this really good defense but they couldn't score at all on offense, like, I think we wouldn't be talking about them as the Super Bowl winners.
No, I think you make a good point about their defense as well. While they had Mahomes moving all over the place and he couldn't get comfortable back there, they also had the coverage married up. And that does speak to what they did in the draft this year, because they've had a lot of these guys on defense, a lot of this pass rush, the overwhelming D-line. They've had that before. That's not new to Philly. Some of the names are different, but that's not new to how they played defense. What changed was their secondary. They draft Quinyon Mitchell, they draft Cooper DeJean, and all of a sudden it goes from a defense that was strong up front to the best overall defense in the NFL. And so, I don't want to say I completely changed my way of thinking about it, but if you're asking me now, Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter, where before I might have been Travis Hunter over Abdul Carter,
what if Travis Hunter plays defense?
I might flip that one. No, I'm saying I think Travis Hunter is. I think of him as defense first. I don't think of him as a receiver first. I think of him as corner first. Or even, Will Johnson, who I like. The idea of getting two corners and shutting it down back there with him and Gonzalez. And then, if you can have two lockdown corners, you can manufacture a pass rush, or you can work on manufacturing a pass rush. Watching last night, I don't mean to overreact, but that might shift me back to the Abdul Carter side, the disruptive defensive lineman side, over drafting on the back end, drafting a corner.
Well, that's
and addressing it that way.
Like the Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, Micah
true.
Parsons. Like, if any of those guys are really available, like, you got to explore every avenue to get those guys in there, because if you want to really project this thing forward and say, hey, the Patriots are going to be, competing in the AFC at some point soon, it's going to be against Mahomes and Burrow and Josh Allen, obviously, in the division. And so, how can you stop those guys? At least we've seen the few times that Mahomes has lost in the playoffs, it's been because he didn't have any time at all back there, and he was getting smoked by the defensive line. So if that's where they want to go, I get it.
This is fair with Mahomes as well, and you're kind of hinting at it there. Text line, 617-779-7937. How many times has Brady had 3 turnovers in a game, and has he ever had it in a Super Bowl? He's not had it in a Super Bowl. I think it's now 7 picks from Mahomes in these Super Bowls.
I told you, he'll throw you some picks.
So
up until garbage time, it was 7 touchdowns, 7 picks.
Wow.
In 4
and so
games?
He tacked on a couple of touchdowns late to kind of swing that back. But
10 and 7.
Okay. Oh, all 3 of them you were counting as garbage time. Got it. So,
well, I mean, the whole game was garbage
no,
time.
I mean, it was. You're not wrong. I mean, that they made the final score look closer than it was. His stats, if you didn't watch and you just look at a box score 10 years from now, his stats are going to look better. I mean, the interceptions are something you have to look at with Mahomes. And again, if you're sizing up his play in a Super Bowl versus Brady's, I mean, he's already thrown more picks in half the Super Bowls than Brady threw in 10.
Yeah, 48 career playoff games for Brady, 88 touchdowns, 40 interceptions.
Okay, and I can remember, I think
he had a stretch there where the Chargers, even in wins, he threw like 3 picks to the Chargers,
so I
3
think
picks to the Chargers.
We talked about this the other week where Troy Brown stripped Marlon McCree.
Yeah.
He got bailed out in one of those, Brady. The 07 AFC title game, Brady threw a bunch of picks, and they went to the Super Bowl anyway. But I don't remember many playoff games where Brady did that, and he definitely didn't do it in the Super Bowl.
This doesn't include Mahomes from yesterday, but going into the game, he was 43 touchdowns, 8 picks in the
postseason.